So this is a project that my father did in the 1980s. I was, I think, 20 years old. And I had gone with him to this place called Timba. Along with us was the owner of this quarry that we went to. And his name was Indubai Patel. It was a peak hot summer. You were in the bowels of basalt rock. Temperatures are emanating. And Indubai is showing my father the quarry. My father has been actually called there to do the landscape for the farmer. And my father apparently looked at all this and said, I think I'm going to grow a forest. And Indubai looked at him and thought that the sun had hit him. Apparently, my father insisted that he was going to convert this into a forest. He said, well, if I've learned something in life, I do know that nature has the ability of healing itself. And all that nature requires sometimes is a little bit of help. So anyways, Indubai was a wildlife enthusiast, a naturalist, and, he said, why not? So that's how this whole project started. That's how, that basalt quarry looked like. It is one of the toughest stones that you can work with. It's like granite or harder. There are no cracks. It's monolithic. And he was standing in the bottom of that and said, I'm going to make a forest.
Uh-huh.
So he started sort of visiting the local fields, the nearby fields. And in Marathi, there's something that's called Pagdandi. So in the fields, there is always a place where, you walk between fields. And if you notice, that area always has got some amount of, grasses and weeds and something growing in the next couple of trips, and gathered as much soil as he could from these areas. And he sort of put a carpet of that soil on the quarry lands, knowing fully well that little soil held life. So the first monsoon, you suddenly began to see in that entire place little shoots of grass, weed, grass, stuff like that. What he really wanted to do was he wanted to create a little microclimate so that the other layer of trees could start coming up. That's him in the cap. Nearby there was a little stream, and he could tap that little stream and divert that water into the quarry, so it started filling up. With the first rains, he started, getting these little saplings to grow. In the rock, he put dynamite and blasted it so that the fissures got a little bigger, and then he packed it with soil. So that stuff started growing from there also, right? And literally, this was how it was when it started. And about 8 years later, so the photographs that I'm showing you are the photographs of exactly the same place taken 8 years later. And something like this, 8 years later, became like this.
Wow.
Timba still remains a benchmark project, globally and also in the country, of course.
Wow.
And literally, this was how it was when it started. And about 8 years later, it became like this.
Wow. 8 years.
These people were Jains, of course. And, one day somebody walked up to him in Dubai and said, there's a lot of fish in this lake, can be fished. And he was willing to pay him enough money every year that would have recovered the cost of the development within 1 year. But of course, he didn't allow it. Dr. Salim Ali came here to see it. So this happened in 1985-86. Indubai's family ran into trouble. Their company shut down. They had to sell the quarry to another quarry owner. That quarry owner, after some time, has sold it to yet another quarry. When it was done, there was no development around. And now over, last 40 years, the town has come all around and development has come. So every now and then when we go there, we ask the question and we say, no, there's so much of development. This is so pretty. Have you ever thought that you should build a few cottages? And every quarry owner has said no.
Wow.
They said, here's a land that was gifted back to nature. And all we can do now is be custodians of it. 3 owners have changed, but nobody uses it for any commercial gain. There are no picnics.
You go frequently?
Not as frequently as one should go, but yes, I go. Once in a year, I go.
So what do you see differently each time?
The forest is clearly self-sufficient now. It's a system that takes care of itself. You don't have to take care of it. You keep finding new birds and new species that keep coming. Initially, there wasn't a forest floor. Now there's a forest floor. So you're walking over leaves and trampling over things. So it's literally it's magical. I mean, it's just very often people turn around and say, so have you done your best work? I said, with the project like Timba done in the studio, you're never going to do anything better than that. So
what small decision that gave rise to this transformation?
My father has always believed that, and he said it very simply, and I think he wasn't the kind of person to make something sound profound for the sake of it. I mean, he was an honest man, and he spoke plainly. And he said, look, at the end of the day, we underestimate the power of nature. We just underestimate the power of nature. And nature doesn't need too much. I mean, it needs a little bit of respect, a little bit of care. That's all that nature actually requires. Nature has the ability to regenerate. Nature has the strength to regenerate. The least we can do is to either leave her alone or occasionally lend her a little hand. He's never said, I did timber and I did this miraculous, project that restored such a difficult. Never. For him, it was always these stories of how I picked up soil and things started growing, or how I looked at the water, or how I looked at this. Little actions. None of them that sound profound by themselves. And yet what happens is so profound, no?